Hello, I'm EnterElysium and welcome to Aurora 4X, the amazing, fantastic, frustratingly annoying space strategy game. We're doing a State of the United Earth 2100. It is the change of century, and with it, the whole new government will be happening, etc. But this is just a little video for those of you who've fallen behind and don't want to have to watch all the videos to catch up or whatever, or to refresh your memory if you've, forgotten what happened, like, say, I did. This is also a refresher for me. So we'll be going through a few things in the Empire, looking at them and being like, oh, so what's going on here? So, it's been 10 years since our last overview, and a number of things have happened. The mineral crisis that was really bad, is now under control. And by under control, I will say there still needs to be work to be done to balance it properly for future expansion. But for now, we're in a good place. If we go over here and look at Earth with the mining, you'll see that our stockpiles are looking decent. Obviously, Saurian we don't care about because it's only used for fuel, and we're harvesting fuel from gas giants. Boronide could be done a bit better. Duranium is going to be the main issue right now. Corundium we've got under control. In fact, our stockpile is almost up to 60,000, so doing pretty well there. Gallicite is getting a little low. Gallicite is a engine material. You use it for engines. So the fact we're building loads of missiles with engines and loads of ships with engines right now is really draining that. But overall, we're in the acceptable band. I wouldn't say that we're like perfect yet, but a little bit more work on some of these and we should be okay. So speaking of ships, we now have our latest fleet being divided and marshaled in orbit. We have several new ships being brought out, basically an entire new generation. Let's start down at the bottom. We have the Effie Mighty Trick, which is an escort frigate, which is an anti-missile frigate. It fires small missiles to take down other missiles. That's what it does. The Onyx. It's a destroyer. It's basically a beam destroyer. Lots of beams, shoots beams, does good work. The Destroyer Escort, the Professor, scores cannons. Fires lots of rounds to take down enemy missiles. I believe it also has, if we have a quick look at it, Destroyer Escort, wide view. Why doesn't it open that in default? Where's wide view? Here we go. Yeah, 3 quad Gauss cannons, and that's it. It has 2, lasers, but other than that, it's really relying on those Gauss cannons. So it's primarily escort. There is a little bit of ability to be fighty in there. In fact, let's have a go look at our escort frigate. Is there a way for you to fight at all? Did we give you a laser? You have literally no way to fight. You are, well, unless you use your anti-missile missiles. So, yeah, 100% a defensive ship there. Then, moving on, we have the Firefash, which is our command cruiser. The Firefash actually got some pretty decent gear in the end. If we bring up the Firefash, it has 2 hangar decks, so, 2,000 tons worth of space. And the idea it'll have like 4 boarding craft on board, which are also new, which is nice. We have a pretty nice spinal mount. It's not the latest generation of spinal mount, but it does 16 damage every 20 seconds if it hits. And that's it. Unfortunately, it's more specialized than the previous versions of the command cruiser used to be. This one is much more about detecting enemies and sending the fleet in. If we have a look at where is it? The main sensor, it has a range of over 200 million. So certainly upping that. It's also got ECM, etc. Pretty chunky thermal and EM sensors. And it's, pretty decent shields. The standard we're using for all but our huge craft is that each 10,000 tons earns you an engine. So 3 engines for this because it's 30,000 tons. Down off, I couldn't get it to round. And each 10,000 tons also earns you a shield. So this is actually packing the latest Epsilon shields because this is the actual, first alteration. It's the 1A. And that brings the shields total up to over 250 on our 30,000 tons. But that brings us to the Ice Lord, which is our guided missile cruiser. So this is going to be missile cruiser. Now, a bit of an upgrade from the previous missile destroyer. The Ice Lord also packs 24 missile launchers, like the destroyer, but this one actually has an extra salvo in the magazine, Everything's been updated. We also have a fairly good amount of lasers. Like we have the 1 spinal mount, and then we have 6 normal, 10 damage every 10-second lasers to go with it. So not full on like beam destroyer, but well, destroyer in the sense of it destroys things, not in the sense of it's a destroyer, but you get the idea. Like it can actually hold a fight with its beams. Plus it has, good shields. Again, 3 of those shields giving it over 250. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing much more to say about this. Again, we're packing the ECM. Couldn't quite fit the ECCM on it, but it is what it is. This comes with full-on, like, new missiles. We've got the Katana 2, the Wakizashi 3s. It's beautiful. Now, the one thing we're actually working on at the moment, and we haven't actually managed to make any of yet, because it's in progress, and will take a little while. Current activity... Where is it? It will take another 2 years. Is the Pride of Elysium heavy carrier. We'll try to describe it. Design it a bit more like a Battlestar initially, but didn't have enough space. And so, the Pride of Elysium is heavy carrier. Where will that be? Under heavy. There we go. It has 4 hangar decks, so twice the capacity of a command cruiser. Obviously has a jump drive, just like the command cruiser. It's got chunky search sensor, like the command cruiser. But unlike the command cruiser, it can actually pack a little bit more in the way of shooty. So it actually has 1 spinal and 5 lasers. Now, you might say, well, that's less than the guided missile cruiser has. Yes, but these are also a tier up. Because we designed this slightly after them, all of these are a little bit more powerful. Like the spinal laser, instead of doing 16, does 26. Admittedly every 30 seconds, but whatever. And the other lasers do 16 instead of 10, admittedly every 20 seconds, but again, whatever. It will hit hard at range. Takes more time to recharge, but it's going to be part of the fleet, so that's fine. And the actual hangar deck for this is going to feature a load of bombers, and that's why it has an internal magazine capable of housing a whole load of missiles, which is fantastic. So speaking of, let's go have a look at that bomber and the assault shuttle. So the assault shuttle, the Fusco, I did initially make a mistake and I gave it a what was it called, a drop bay. So if we remove the troop transport bay, which I actually switched out to before this video, we want a drop bay, very small. There we go. And then I can't quite get that armor in. It's gonna be like for like, isn't it? Wait, that's the drop bay again. I did the same thing. Where's boarding? I keep clicking the same thing. Here we go. Now this is gonna be tough because I can't quite get the armor in that I want. So this is what it is. We basically save 10 tons when we switch out for the boarding bay. Because it was initially, what was it? It was initially the drop bay. Yeah. So switching out for the boarding bay, which it's meant to be, saves us a few tons. But that's not enough to really up our armor game. If we up our armor game, you'll notice that we're, again, 9 tons over. We could put a lot of fuel on it, but do we need that fuel? Could put maintenance on it. Could up the size of the engine ever so slightly. Again, if we up the size of the engine, it'll be a 3% increase in speed, approximately. Not really worth the hassle. I think we're just going to dump fuel on this. Fuel storage. Great. I mean, we've tripled the range, no, quadrupled the range. It's 0.61 billion, which is still pretty acceptable. 5 hours of flight. Probably more than we need, because this is generally going to be flying in under our normal radar coverage, which goes up to 200 million. But sure, a little bit extra fuel is fine. We could have left spare space, obviously, but again, The only real, do we want to leave spare space would be if we could get the weight low enough down, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. If we get down to 400, we'll be able to get more shuttle in, but that would take a bit too much. And I like having the armor there to take the hit. So, with that, that's our Fusco and our bomber. 5 missile launchers, along with a speed of 18,000. The fuel is capable of taking out to 2 billion kilometers, so it's meant to operate next to the carrier, like within the vicinity of the carrier. Not like super close, but it's not meant to go, you know, cross systems or whatever. It can actually do a little while by itself if needed. Admittedly, might have issues with the maintenance life again, but whatever. No armor on this. If it gets shot at, it will go down, but it does have the 5 missiles, and it will be packing wakazashis. So, with the ability to kind of drop... How many of these can we drop? They're 500 tons, so we're looking at 8. Pride of Elysium. Yeah, 8 of these, dropping 5 missiles each. 40 missiles. Again, only 40 missiles, but they're still 40 missiles. It's nothing to be sniffed at. And they are wakazashis, so they'll be pretty good at what they do. Right. That all said and done, I think that's it for them. We have updated the engines on our freighters and our colony ships and our jump tenders. Not our jump tenders, our tugs and a few other things. These are going to be pretty useful for us. They're a lot faster now. Like if we have a look at our freighter, we're up to 3,500. If we look at our colony ship, I believe that's up to 4,000. Yeah, so we're delivering cargo much more quickly, like twice as fast, just because of the upgraded engines. However, it is going to hit our Gallicite a lot, because that's what we use for engines. Either way, we can get through the Gallicite crunch that's going to be happening. We should be fine. Now, money has been trending down. Racial wealth has gone down about 50,000 in the last decade. So we're going to have to do something about that. And the previously contested system of Lewis, which everyone was kind of edging around and being like, who's going to own this? Finally, the Grosvenor Protectorate have actually walked in and said, we own it. Bugger off. And we've unfortunately have to resituate a few spy stations. We didn't take them out of the system, obviously. We just moved them. They're still there, so we can still get a bit of coverage on Lewis, but it looks like the Grosvenor Protectorate have claimed that now, which is one of the entrances into our territory, and pretty close in. Like, if they get into Agent, that would break our route to Aliwiz, which is one of our up-and-coming, like, major places, thanks to the Holy Rock, which is one of our... It's one of our colonies that is ridiculous. Like, it classified itself as an asteroid, but it was actually a planet in its own right. Huge amount of resources. Can hold an atmosphere, not low gravity, full on like normal grav. Like, it's really good. So we've developed that. We've got that going. I guess the only major thing to talk about is... Oh, wrong one. This. Go back there. Thank you. Ether Rift. We've now found 5 Ether Rifts. One down here in Darlock. One in Lewis. One in Jeff. One in McBriar. And one in Jazza. So 2 of them are actually now in the space belonging to the Grosvenor Protectorate. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. But the one in Darlock does kind of threaten Idra a little bit. The one up in McBriar does threaten Sleepy Zoe Tiergal, which we want. Plus, if we go up to Warmonger, it's going to threaten into Gump, which is our route up to Warmonger. And the one in Jazza, if it does go this way and they come through Peps to Subject Delta, it's going to be a bit rough. The other thing to bear in mind is that our AWP weapon platforms that we've been using to defend jump points are coming to the end of their lives. And we're going to need to consider replacing them with perhaps the version 2 that we've been working on. They will need a replacing, because otherwise people are going to complain about their like protection levels and be like, hey, why are you not protecting us? So that's something that we might have to bear in mind. But yeah, other than that, we're in a pretty reasonable position. Again, no one's being particularly aggressive. I am worried about the Ether Rifts. Something could happen with them. But for now, there's no immediate crises other than the edging in of the Grosvenor Protectorate to Lewis. The fact that the ghosts have been relatively friendly and the Grosvenor Protectorate have gone from being quite nice to they're a little bit more edgy about us right now. The Ether Rifts are just sitting there. Like, a lot of potential things to go wrong, but nothing right now is going wrong. And unlike the last State of the Empire where we were talking about a massive mineral crisis, the one before that, a massive fuel crisis, we're in a kind of a steady state right now, especially with a new layer of military coming out who are like top-of-the-line technology. Maybe with a few changes to their lasers, they would be top of the line, but it is what it is. Technology marches forwards, and their lasers are still decent. If we did upgrade them to the top of the line that we just managed to do, they would be firing slower. There's no real need to do that. They have powerful lasers. We're in a good situation. They also have crazy good defense. And our new boarding craft should be able to board craft that are trying to actually actively defend themselves because of their speed. Being 30,000 on the boarding craft will help. And our latest military vessels are 8,000, which that is pretty tasty. So beyond that, we're just going to be doing some expansion. Going up to Sleepy Zoe, going to Alleywiz, just locking them down as new places. Probably Caldi, Tiergal, maybe, you know, Neltab or something up here just to try and, like, lock this down. Definitely expanding beyond Neltab in terms of our exploration. We haven't seen what's beyond there. We do think that the enemy have, well, the other neutral empires have got places beyond there that we need to explore and just check where they are. Fortification of Agent, maybe starting to position fleets outside of the Sol system. Agent, Subject Delta, and Sleepy Zoe being the targets. Obviously helped by one of the acts that we had to do last time about defending from Subject Delta and Agent. Setting those up as forward operating bases, FOBs. Would be a good idea, and I think is something that needs to be done, especially with Sleepy Zoe, because the distance to get to that is quite a lot. Because the strategic jump point, again, long way away in Sol, so taking that route is a long time. So having something there to be able to react much more quickly, especially if something pops off with this Ether Rift up here, necessary. Either way, hopefully you've enjoyed this little look at the state of the Empire. Hopefully this has caught you up to date and you're finding it useful. If you are, just let me know. I kind of like the feedback on these, especially because they're, you know, an unlisted extra video just to make sure people are, you know, enjoying it, know what they're doing, know what's happening, and they're up to date, or, you know, if they have missed a few episodes and don't want to have to go through all the backlog, just get this kind of, like, briefing of what's the main situation right now so they can just start watching again. If you do, let me know. But I guess it's time to actually start recording the main series again, with the election having just been called. So I've been EnterElysium. Stay shiny.